Been recording all day. Oh, now we're ready. All right. Again, good evening and welcome. Today is Wednesday, February the 16th, 2022, and this is the City of Anderson Board of Architectural Review. First item on the agenda. Anything to add? No addenda. Very good. Then we'll move right into the public hearing. First being BAR 2201. Maurice.
And the building will be located in this area here is where they're proposing, and I'll go over that a little bit more in detail. But just to give you a little bit of configuration of the lot, this is the house. This is the front of the house, and it faces the kind of the corner intersection there. So it's configured in an interesting way based on the fact that it is a triangular shaped lot. The applicant is requesting to place the accessory building in this open, generally in this area here. And as you can see from this drawing again, it's located in this area of the property. Now, because of the way the lot is shaped, because of the way the house is configured, there's some interesting setbacks on this piece of property. So it is possible, depending on where the building will be situated, they will need to go before the Board of Zoning Appeals to obtain a variance from setback requirements. Accessory buildings are not allowed in front yard setbacks, and with two street frontages, they have two front yard setbacks to contend with. If it is setback far enough behind the front corner of the house facing Watson, they will not have to get a variance. But if it's to be located closer to the street, a variance would be necessary. So that's another step in the process potentially. Also, our building setbacks in this zoning district are 25 feet. Even though they do apply to buildings, houses, it would most likely apply to the board as well, being 25 feet setback from Watson. But again, something for you to take into consideration, yet the Board of Zoning Appeals will have to deal with the exact location, and we'll need something more precise if we come to that. After our discussion tonight, we may find that it's not as necessary. But
Tell me, for clarification, is it possible for her to locate this building on the property without having to go before zoning?
It looks like with the house's shape, most likely you would not have to have a variance. There's a fence located here. That's located kind of where the front corner, somewhere behind that, a variance probably would not be required. It would need to be, without a variance would be required if it's located inside of between the street and the front corner of the house, or the side of the house, whichever you may be with that. So if it's located in this general area, variance will be required. If it's located back in here.
And the street that we're looking at is which one? That is the front. I'm sorry. Does the house face Watson or north?
The corner.
Oh, okay. So it's this way.
So I guess the answer to your question is yes and yes. And
okay. It's facing the corner of the two. Okay. All right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thank you. So that's the location item we probably want to discuss with the applicant who is here, so we can discuss that in more detail. And she did provide this interesting Sanborn map from years ago showing that there was a building of some sort located there back in the day. Now, let's talk about the building that's being requested to be located on the property. It is off-site currently, but they would like to move it to the site. You can see it here. The applicant gave us a little bit more detail on the type of material it's constructed out of and ensuring that the color will stay the same. It is unknown at the time if there's going to be any type of skirting on the building. I'd like to find out a little bit more about that. And also which way the building will be situated. Will the doors be facing the back of the house or which way? So those are some questions we could certainly ask the applicant this evening. But again, this is a request for an accessory building in this yard area that, again, could warrant the need for a variance at some point before it is installed. If it's located, again, closer to the street, a variance would be required, and I would think the Board of Zoning Appeals would want to make sure it's set back, at least feet from the street because of its visibility to the frontage. Any questions for me, or also the applicant is here as well?
That's great. Then we'll just look for Ms. Denmark to tell us how you're looking to, where you're looking to place it. And note that from last month, the orientation of these outbuildings is a major consideration of ours. So not only where it's placed, which has to do with zoning requirements, but the orientation is what we're going to be looking at as well, in addition to materials and whatnot.
Oh, perfect. Got a pen. Hey, I actually work here. How cool is that? Market Theater.
Fantastic.
Right. Like Mr. McKenzie said, we would like for it to be right here. We actually would like for it to be pretty close to the street. You can't tell well, you can tell a little bit, but right here on the opposite side of our mailbox is like a little, it looks like there may have been a driveway.
I see that. Mm-hmm.
So ideally, like, to repay this at some point and then maybe get right next to where the car would be, if possible.
Right where the truck is?
No.
Oh.
Like literally
On.
right here, this little, so like the sidewalk, you see the sidewalk, like dips. This
So
right
that's number one. That's going to clearly cause you problems with setback because you're indicating no setback.
Correct.
Why right on the street and why not? Because it looks like you have enough yard there.
So it's odd because this right here, this bamboo that really separates us from our neighbors, is actually like, if you push it too far back, this area would need to be cleared, and it's not. We've looked into clearing it. It looks like it may just be bamboo, but that's like tree stumps. So they must have cut down trees, and the size of the building, if we push it too far back, may run into issues with this section.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, there appears to be plenty of space in the open clear area for that closer to the fence, and there's a second outbuilding there?
So that's just a storage shed, yes. We would get rid of that one.
Okay, so that would be gone? Yes. Because
we're
another issue of two.
Right. And it will look pretty. I mean, we do plan on having a skirt. I just didn't know, when I've heard of skirts, I was thinking more like, trailers and aluminum type of skirt on the building, and I would want something a little bit more, upscale to match the, keep up with the.
Others are going to have questions, but right off the bat, if you're going to remove that one, which I think you would need to, you could have two, why not place the new one where the old one was and have no problems?
This backyard is all slanted. Like, we actually kind of live on a hill, so you'd have to level it. Like, our shed here is, this is pretty small, which is kind of why we want to add the big one. But it's slanted, and so you would have to actually get in there and kind of level off either specifically for the space or really the whole backyard, and that could.
You could level that with the foundation aspect, could you not?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I don't want it in the fence.
Well,
which is fine. I hear what you're saying, but hopefully at some point that'll be more of a.
Okay, the last of my questions. Okay, you're wanting it right on the road edge. How would you orient it to where it would open to the?
Face outward.
Open to the street. Okay, that I've covered what best I can. Some initial questions, folks. Comments, questions, concerns. Who wants to start?
I've dealt with one of these corner lots before, and they are going to require at least a side yard setback for that yard, which would be, I think, 15 or 20 feet. Not going to be allowed to be right on the road.
Excuse me, but I have a corner lot also, and I approached the city a few years back, and it's a front yard. I had to observe the front yard setback.
Yeah, with it being a corner like that, building anyway, but then
Right.
I mean, where you're requesting it, I'm wondering whether we would be premature in even passing on this until after it goes before zoning. But other comments?
If we approved it being on the street, I can't believe the zoning board would pass it being right on the street. It's right there by the sidewalk. And there's a lot of room in the backyard to put the building back where it's hidden, where it doesn't affect your view going down the street.
I did speak with someone when I originally, to get started with the process, I posted my question on the Nextdoor app, and there was a lady who responded. I believe her name was Shantae, maybe Sandra, and she actually looked into this, and I apologize for not, we were talking via text, and somehow she had to take a few days to look into it and go before her staff, and she works for the city, and she did assure me that there would, because there is no, what have you, she said we could put it close to the street. Like there was no, because of Watson specifically, she did look it up in old maps and that would not be an issue. But honestly, I'd have to go back through text message and find who that was.
My guess is when she's saying close to the street, that you might be open, it might be available to get a variance of some distance, but not on the street. I would get, that'd be my guess. I've done some variance work. You know, variances you want to be less than the 25, you might be granted that, but as has been indicated, I can't see it being allowed to be on the street.
Yeah, we can kind of look at it and look at 25 feet because this is the first actual number. Yeah.
I'd be glad to do that.
I mean, and the material while you're here is what? Is what?
Sure. So it's LPC smart siding, and it's kind of, our house is white right now. This is more of a gray, so it doesn't match exactly. I've been trying to get quotes from contractors as far as residing both our house and this one. Eventually, we would want them to match, but COVID, everybody's behind.
I mean, unless anybody has other thoughts, it might be best to meet with zoning and see where it would be placed, because that would also give us a lot of direction decision as to the direction of this. Any other comments right off the bat as to the style and materials of the outbuilding here?
If I'm wrong on this, you were talking about you're on your home, re-siding it. You mean you're talking about taking eventually? And I don't know if how we would view that, but to put the matching vinyl on a building that had been added might be difficult.
Okay.
Just be honest, we'd love for you to take the vinyl off and paint your house. It would be beautiful. But putting vinyl on a new building that's been brought in, if she wanted to match.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that they would be adding.
They would re-side their house, this vinyl siding.
No, I mean, just so they would match. I mean, I'm not necessarily agreeing to vinyl, but just we would hopefully.
Something like that, maybe.
That, you know, obviously we'd come back and have it approved what we could do in that event, but that's, you know, down the line.
I didn't want her to think, well, when we do side the house, we can side this one too, because that might be an issue. Just so you know everything, so.
You already purchased the building?
Purchased the building. This actually is my grandmother's shed, and she we just had to transfer to a nursing home. So, you know, not sentimental, I guess.
Sure. Well, you know.
Size of the building, do you know?
This is 10 by 16.
15?
16.
16.
Just off the cuff, if you were to put this in the backyard in the fenced area, where the other one is, you know, leveling it off, you probably wouldn't have any problem at all. Okay? You know,
I think really good.
I don't think we would have a problem with the placement. The orientation would not be much of an issue, and you'd also be able to avoid the variance aspect, because I just can't quite see it being passed on the street there.
You know, honestly, I never considered it. You know, you kind of have a vision in your mind, but yeah, that's something I can, you know, my husband and I can go back and kind of look into it, and if that's,
If you wanted to look into that, your application can remain open. And if you were to decide to put it within the fence where the existing one is, facing the house, I think slam dunk for you. And you.
I'll still be with you.
Sure.
Look at measurements and just see
Am I okay with saying that?
And I think, even, I hate to think that our neighborhood's unsafe, because I live in that neighborhood, but it would be safer.
good point too, yeah.
There have been situations where people, particularly if it's near the street, they drive by and empty it real quick in the middle of the night.
That's awesome. I didn't even think about that. That is also a great consideration. Thank you. I
If
appreciate
you give that some thought, and we'll make it work for you somehow, okay?
Appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you. Keep that on hold and move on to BAR 2202.
Okay. We have several items for this particular request. Let me get the information out. This pertains to 312 East Franklin Street, which is in the Anderson Historic District. Front of the house, have photos of a couple different angles. Thing we'll talk about this evening is the fact that there is going to be an addition added on the house, and it's going to be located on this corner over here. The other side of the house, there's going to be some work being done here, some moving of windows as well. But the applicant is seeking approval for several improvements to the house. The addition of a master bath and walk-in closet on the southeastern side of the house where I just showed you a moment ago. Also reconfiguring and reframing the southwest side of the house. There's a mudroom there, wanting to do some work there. Also on that same side, the western side of the house, to relocate some windows. Part of the project also will involve adding two vinyl windows, one being on the new addition, one being on the back of the house. And then in addition to those items, they're seeking to cover the addition and the rest of the house with white vinyl siding, and also adding gutters and downspouts, and then adding a metal roof to the entire house. And they are doing significant interior renovations as well. So this is a large job for them. But just to go over some of the items that we were just talking about, this is the existing west side of the house. See on here and also in your packet that they're looking to switch the windows for the kitchen layout. And then also removing and reframing the mud and laundry room, but using the existing door.
All right, so side by side and then the 1/1 simply be switched out on the same walls, is that right?
Applicants here, if you answer any questions too. So
I mean, all we're talking about is simply switching those two.
those windows, correct? Yep.
All right, and as to the mudroom, currently we have the door, and what's beside the door?
Is that a screen porch?
Looks like it's been infilled from that photograph.
Okay. I see. All right, and so you're looking to frame that all in? Yeah. But leave the door? I'm sorry? Right, but you're talking about framing it all in and leave the door?
Use the same door.
Okay. Right. And the, what do you want, a casement around of sorts?
It looks like a porch that was closed in, is that?
Yeah, that's the backside.
Maurice, the porch that was closed in, the trim around that on the original porch, is that gonna come off and the siding is gonna go flush? Right. Sure, but the framing around the original porch, is all gonna, okay, so you're gonna remove that framing and the, siding will, okay. All right. I think we're okay. We can move to the next one if you want. Everyone okay with what we're doing there?
And I mentioned adding a new window. This is where one of them will be located. And the addition, which extends outward, we can show you better on another photograph, where another window will be added. And that, again, this is the addition.
Okay. All right. Show us the original photo that this marries up to.
I may have a better one. Hold on. A little bit of a tree blocking it, but hopefully that will give you perspective.
All right. So starting from the far left, those double window there, what's happening there on the backside? Right. So those windows are gone.
Window.
Well,
Oh,
actually, reuse, so I would to accept those windows.
okay. So those windows would stay. You just move that siding. All right. And then the next set of windows moving to the right. What happens there? No, okay, not to the far right, just working our way down.
There's a bathroom.
I understand, but first, the double windows, are they staying in? Okay, all right. So then we move on to the small window. Be replaced with what? By your drawing, I think it's a 6/1, which would match the 6/1s in the double windows. Okay. And then moving on further down to the right. Beyond that, yes, sir.
To the addition.
Okay, but we have a drawing here that doesn't seem to have an addition. What?
This shows the addition protruding out, and they mentioned that the brick veneer will be matched as close as possible.
Oh, that's they're calling.
Lighting. And then if you can look, this is the eastern side of the house. You can see how it protrudes out that way. And again, it'll have the addition of one window or installed on the back side.
The drawing shows a 3/1 on the addition, where all the other windows on the back are 6/1.
So, is this what it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and then do we need to work around the house? Another?
I did.
Fine.
Also, we're talking about new roof, gutters, and vinyl siding for the entire house.
Right.
Talk about these items first, and then look at the body of the house afterwards.
Yes, so let's do that. Okay, so we've worked our way around from side to the back to the addition. Thoughts, comments, concerns? What do we need clarification on?
Addition looks pretty good. It seems to fit in.
that you're going to be putting in, do they have the outside grid? The grid outside of the glass?
They're inside.
Are you using existing windows or are you getting some new ones? So I guess the question is, where are you adding a new window? Sure. So are you purchasing any new windows in this project? And that would go where?
Addition.
But your wife just mentioned that you're reusing one.
Didn't you say in the bathroom?
In the bathroom, where in the existing photo, it had that small window.
They're showing a slide.
True, yeah. They didn't mention that.
Slide on.
Yeah, I don't.
Is that going over the shower or something?
This one. Although that'll be for the bathroom.
Yes, sir. All right, so again, the question, just for clarification, are you getting a new window and where is that going to be? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so tell us, so to answer.
Window that you're going to purchase, will it have grids on the outside like the original windows on the house have?
So,
Okay.
Maurice, do you know the existing windows? I'm asking Maurice, do you know what type of existing windows there are?
Familiar with which type? I was just looking at photographs. You can tell, I guess, now that some are replaced. Not able to tell the grids where they're located.
These may be 6 over 1.
Amanda's got a drawing there.
This is a slider.
Interesting.
It's a new addition, I
I'm
think.
curious about this window. It's a slider, and it's looks like it's about maybe 14, 16 inches tall, and it says it's on the master bathroom addition. It's west side remodel.
I think that would be right here.
Guys, look further back. There appears to be a window spec.
If I can reuse one of the.
the grid patterns between the windows.
Be like over the shower or something? Where would that window go? All the time. Okay.
Maurice?
Yes, sir.
That's the.
This is your addition here, so. Existing.
So the new window would be over what? The toilet itself or in the,
On the side of it.
The side of the toilet, right.
oh, okay, I see, now I'm getting oriented.
Want a big one right here, I think.
That's the back, okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one. Here.
Using a double hung instead of the slider there? The existing one?
I'm quite, of course, it's the same side.
The back shows a full window, which would be right behind.
Yeah.
Billy was just.
That would have to be a small. Looking at the rear addition, you've got a new 36 by 48 single hung window shown where, according to the floor plan, it looks like that would be directly above the toilet, which I think it would have to be a lot narrower than 36 inches to fit. Anyway, I think the point is we want the new windows to match the windows that are there, whether they're between the glass or exterior mounted grills.
Definitely the grid to match as far as interior, exterior, maybe different comments.
Right.
That.
And the window spec said that the grid was interior.
Oh, it did, okay, thank you.
I mean, it looks like you're intending to copy a lot of the same trim details around the windows, and I think that makes a huge difference. Right. And even that vent in the gable, it looks like you're going to reconstruct a vent similar to what exists on the house. Yeah. Not in the addition, though, right? Right. Yeah.
I'm still confused on this because the side, like on page 207, where it shows the addition coming out with the gable roof extending out, you see that?
Yeah, I'm with you, yeah.
Slider window at the top.
Before we actually do the floor plan map,
Okay.
and then once we got our floor plan, it kind of changed.
Okay, because the window would be better on that wall instead of over the toilet.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I look at it, see,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense.
All right, other comments and need for clarification regarding the actual windows and the addition? Yes, certainly.
I think so.
Shower area,
Right.
I
Fine. Again, as long as you trim it with the same window trim that's everywhere else. Yeah. As long as it's not a black window or something that's different. Yeah.
And the house has a brick foundation, is that right? And so that'll be under the addition as well?
Said it would match.
Okay. All right, so one new window, well, excuse me, two. One full-size new window and one small. They are, and the existing windows, are they vinyl? All of your existing windows?
Well, the replacements are all.
Okay, well, okay, so which ones are the replacement ones then? Okay, that's what I was pointing at, it looked old.
Yeah.
And the,
Tell from the photographs, are they all 6/1? The windows?
So,
well, the side view and the front view are one of, I mean, one over one. Only,
Those are not, Jill.
the front of the house is 1/1.
yeah, it looks like from the photos, all, they're,
It's like one of
they're all one over one except for
Correct.
that one pair. Yeah, it's just that,
It's just those back two, yeah.
Are those the originals? The ones on the back?
Well, it looks like it's just the back.
Mm-hmm.
Are those the original windows, the 6/1? Probably.
Appear to be.
well, from the actual photographs, the only 6/1 are that one pair on the back. Everything else, the photographs indicating 1/1, more indicative of the replacement windows. Okay. So it looks like you just have the one original pair. Yeah, I think it's. And even that one that you're looking to move, where the addition's going, appears to be a replacement window as well, 1/1.
Yeah, and that's the one we would want to take.
Well, that looks like a full-size window as opposed to a smaller one.
Well, the small one would be on the side.
Okay. All right. So perhaps if the new window is also a 1/1, it avoids the grid issue. All right, so the basics of the addition, a new narrow window in the shower area, vinyl, and the new window in the bathroom addition being a 1/1 vinyl, so they would all match. Sorry, Jill? Oh, well,
I'm not clear on what's there.
okay, well, okay, see, they were talking, they were talking about doing the bathroom area. That's a full-size one, so they may not be able to do that.
Side, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Or shade or.
But
They
over
were
the
gonna put it in
existing
that little,
bathroom window, there's not a small one to go there.
that one is what
It's not
John's
there.
talking about, that's the one that's filled in with the little window.
There is no extra half window. It's up to you.
Oh, I see.
But whatever new windows would be 1/1, vinyl would be okay.
What?
I think she said that they did that before they had gotten the floor plan.
Right.
And they,
It's gray on the front.
But that was this window, which they're gonna move around, but they don't have this window, is what John's saying. Because the
because
other
that
one is a
was
full
that funny
size.
little one that's in
Yeah.
the bathroom now.
All right, so we're okay with the floor plan and the addition? We're okay with any new windows would be 1/1 vinyl matching the existing replacement windows on the house. Is that where we are? All right, let's take that part first. With that understanding, do we have a motion? We have a motion from Andy, second from Bill. Any further discussion? Landria, do you have that? All right. Mr. Helgerson, are you clear on what we're talking about now?
Either 1/1.
Right. Any new ones would be a 1/1 of whatever size vinyl, and we avoid grid issues. Because we don't know whether what you currently have is going to work for you. So giving you some flexibility there. Yeah, we'll get to that in just a minute. Okay, but are you clear on what we're talking about now? Yes. And does that all seem to be workable for you? No. All right, so we have a motion second. Anything further? All in favor? Opposed? All right, so you've got your addition, you've got your windows. Vinyl siding, who wants to start? Jill? Okay.
Read from the guidelines.
We do not allow vinyl siding in historic areas on homes. Right.
Sure.
Sneaked in.
Well, more than likely prior to the establishment of the historic district. Yeah.
Right, right. Yep. Those are grandfathered in. They happened before we made the rules for the BAR, so, yeah.
All right, so your request for vinyl sidings, you're removing that from your application. You'll go ahead and match up the dimensions of the whatever additional siding you're going to add and painting it consistent with the rest of the house. All right, so that's being removed. There's nothing to vote on to that respect. All right. Is this the roof? Okay. Tell us why metal as opposed to the traditional asphalt that's on there, and why this color? You know, as you're in the historic district, our review of this is based upon historic guidelines, historic images, historic materials, and applications. Do we have a specific on the style of this metal roof? Because they come in different styles.
Actually, it's more
I don't think we have that in the package, do we?
Profile, it's like there's a section through it.
Seam.
What now?
Looks like a true standing seam with no fasteners in the middle of the field. Is there no fasteners in the middle of the field on the tin? In the middle of the field on the tin, is there fasteners in that area or just in the seams?
Yes, there's stainless steel.
And I don't see it.
I'm going to defer to Billy and Andy regarding whether this is standing seam or what it really is. I mean, I can't quite.
This middle of in the field out here, it's not really a true standing seam.
I mean, it's a standing seam in a sense that it has seams that lock together, but it's not a hidden fastener standing seam if there are going to be screws and washers in between those seams.
That's normal for an old roof to have those fasteners.
Yeah.
But in our guidelines, on the 3.45 says preserve original roof materials, and in 3.46, replacement roof materials for historic resource should convey the scale and texture of those used historically, which is what's on the house.
Right. And I think metal roofs, and even this color that you've selected, metal roof, looks fine on certain architectural, certain houses. But, you know, there's some houses like this one, I believe, that the charcoal colored shingles look more historic and more fitting for the style of the house. You can't just plop a metal roof on top of anything. You know, it kind of has to go along with the architecture and the details associated with the house, which I think this is more of a craftsman style house, which you did.
Which you would not have. Which you would not have standing seam or a metal roof.
Right.
And I know you do see other ones in the neighborhood, and again, they were probably installed before the area was designated.
I mean, to me, and we'll talk about the gutters in a minute, I guess, but looking at that photograph, once you add a metal roof and add gutters to cover up those exposed rafter tails, you really lose the character of the house, and it would look very commercial, in my opinion.
I mean, the idea behind the guidelines is preservation of architectural details that make the houses significant and unique, adding character to the neighborhood as a whole. You know, unfortunately, yes, there were periods of time prior to the creation of this body, things were done. And in fact, that was because of what was happening in these neighborhoods. It's really why the BAR was established, to preserve our neighborhoods, to preserve the architectural details, and also to foster property values aspect of that as well.
And I can't imagine a metal roof would be more cost effective even today than shingles. I think it's still a good deal higher. So I think you would save money by using a shingle as opposed to a metal roof. I mean, a metal roof is typically at least 3 times more expensive than a shingle roof. So I can't imagine it's caught up that much. Right. Right. Right.
But, you know, where we're coming from, while personal opinions are being expressed, those opinions are based upon the guidelines that are in place that we are charged with following. And applying equally and as fairly as we can all across the board. I mean, the vinyl windows, you know, the changes with that. We're applying guidelines. They're not exactly consistent with that, but in a proper, reasonable application, you know, we think it's within our guidelines and discretion to allow the windows and the additions as you've indicated. But here with the roofing, it's a major departure, I think, from the architectural integrity of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that.
What color of the asphalt shingle roof then? Maybe
But certainly, dark gray, black, something in keeping with what you have now. I think that's, so, and in keeping with what they have now, there's no need to motion it. They're just simply doing the maintenance. And the final issue, I believe, would be gutters.
the applicant's requesting gutters be placed on the house as well. Here's an example of the product that they're wanting to place around the house, and the applicant may be able to give a little bit more specifics in terms of the product and placing them on the house.
Sure. Anything you want to add as to the gutters, sir? Anything else gray on the house?
That would be exactly.
Maurice, can you, because Andy's found the house across the street, which I think fully illustrates what you're talking about. And it is an attractive contrast.
Would a half-round antique-style gutter be more appealing on that style of house, and it would leave more of the rafter ends exposed, maybe?
Sure, there's a lot of cost with that. Okay, this is the house across the street you're referencing? I think you're right on point, very nice contrast. And if you did the opposite, what do you think, folks? Clearly gutters will hide the rafters, which, are attractive and part of the architectural details. However, there is a real practical aspect of having gutters.
Having any problems with drainage around the house, or? I didn't know if there was any existing problems with the house. Because if there aren't any existing problems, after all this time, they're probably not going to be. Just saying, most of us have old houses, don't we all? All of us have old houses. So we've all experienced that.
For now.
Yeah.
Now, it needs to be where the slope of the roof is, which is where those rafters are. Yeah. Yeah. And gutters are a pain. I don't know if you have, we have gutters. We cannot keep ours cleaned out. And we have the little gutter guards and everything, and you got lots of trees.
But some areas I didn't have any because.
Out gutters, but, yeah.
Here is the house that had boxing rotting.
But that's part of the charm of the house is that detail there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So where were sorry to go back to this, but where were the boxed columns you were going to paint? Would they be on the?
It's box beams at that.
Oh, box beams.
And probably in the corners of the house too? Oh.
Just that.
Oh. Right. Okay, so not up in the gable, similar to what your neighbor has? Not up in the gable, similar to like your neighbor has? Yes. You would do that in the gray?
I thought he was talking about painting the trim, the horizontal trim,
Right, but the neighbor had,
but he said it would be the opposite of that. Whereas the neighbor has gray in the gable, his gray would be where the white is in that photograph.
Yeah, but that's what he's saying. I think he was saying would not be painted, right?
You're just gonna paint this piece.
yeah, I thought where the neighbor had white, he would have gray,
That's what I thought, yeah.
which would be the gable trim.
Right.
How about do this for us? You want to step up to the photo and just point out what you're looking to paint gray? Right there. With a pencil or a pen.
Sorry. Okay.
Okay.
And that's what would be. Everything else is white, and then
Okay.
across the street, it was all
Right.
the opposite of that. And the fascia was white over there.
Right.
Box beam.
Mm-hmm.
Box beam. And then here, wrought iron. Now I have column.
Square column?
I'd like to taper it. There's a couple of those also that taper, smaller at the bottom, get a little bit bigger. Some of them have like a brick, about 3 feet up, column, and then it starts the wood taper.
Very craftsman.
Craftsman style.
At the bottom, but then about 3 feet up, I'd taper it up.
That look nice.
That would look nice.
Paint those the gray color or leave those white? Those would be gray.
And the edges of the house, the vertical trim on the edges, would that also be gray?
No, all that'll just
Okay, 'cause I mean, because your neighbor had those vertical pieces in the white.
notice that. I think white will be fine. At the gable.
And the windows will be, the trim around the windows will be white.
Right.
But yes, it's already been clad metal, but that one rear window. Probably clad that back.
All right, so the trim color that we've been talking about?
Would the gables on the side of the house have that same gray on the
Yes, yes.
trim? Okay. I guess we don't know what color gray, do we? So it doesn't matter.
Do we have a sample?
I think did I?
A gray sample submitted.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Like a medium gray of sorts?
Similar to the neighbors or
Lighter.
lighter?
Lighter.
Be appropriate. Okay. Do we have enough as to this aspect of the paint trim with the addition of the columns that he's described wanting to add to the application?
Amend his application to include those columns?
Yes. Because I think the columns would be a fine addition, adding the very important architectural details. They were probably lost when the wrought iron came along. I think that's a very good addition.
And
Okay.
we all agree no gutters, okay.
You okay with no gutters? Okay.
And the porch floor, is it concrete, wood? Your front porch floor is the color, do you have, is it a wooden floor, concrete? It's wood, no. And you would, is that gonna be the same gray that, or? Yes,
Same gray on the floor.
on the ceiling.
Blue. Talk about the ceiling paint? It's called haint blue.
Yes.
Yes, sir. So as far as the gray color would be very similar to the foundation gray that you've got. Okay. All right, is the record clear? Mr. Lunder? Maurice?
Yes, sir.
All right, as to what we discussed regarding columns, paint trim, is there a motion? A motion from Mary Lou, second from Jill. Anything further? Hearing none, all in favor? Thank you very much. I believe we've covered all the aspects. Yes, sir. You'll contact Maurice.
Contact me.
Very good, sir. Thank you for your patience. I think you've got a wonderful project ahead of you. We look forward to seeing it come around. Good luck to you. Thank you. Concluding the public hearing portion, minutes from last month. Had an opportunity to review them.
It's only one change.
Okay, and the change being, Jill?
Avenue, not Watson Street.
You got that? Okay. Nothing else? Is there a motion to approve? From Bill, second from Mary Lou. Anything further? All in favor? The minutes are approved. Concludes tonight's business. Nothing else? Motion to adjourn. Amanda, thank you. Second, Bill, thank you.